Welcome in, welcome in. This is the Champagne Room Live. I'm Alina Isaac, joined by Robby Nardini. Big Ten Media Days are here for football. We have potentially another non-conference game for Illinois basketball. It's July, but we're getting close to football, Robby.
Yeah, no, Big Ten Media Days. I know that's a sign for many that football is around the corner. It's only a few weeks away now. I think September 3rd is the first game, so sooner or later we'll be about a month away, and Thursday night football will be here, and I definitely can't wait for college football. And it really takes my attention until college basketball starts. Of course, I always watch Illinois football no matter what, but nothing like a Saturday in the fall having some college football on.
Yeah, I think it's 5 weeks from Thursday, I want to say. September 3rd against UAB, which is just crazy to believe. I specifically remember I was at the Tennessee game in Nashville, and that just feels like yesterday. So the fact that that's already been like almost 8 months ago is crazy. And when Big Ten Media Days gets here, it's like, okay, football season's really here, like they're about to start. And yeah, it's hard to believe summer's flying by, but we have some things to talk about, Illinois related. And Robby was out last week, and I just spoke to Johnny, so that was a fun conversation. Go back and listen to that Johnny Newton conversation. But first things first, kind of one of the first pioneers or whatever to do this, Illinois partners with Busey Bank. And Busey is going to be on the jerseys. So they're going to have a patch on their uniforms, which I'm sure most of you have seen. And Robby, what were your thoughts when you saw this initially?
Yeah, I was surprised. I know they're allowing that now, so I figured we would have someone on our jersey. I figured every school will do that just to get more NIL money. I think that's an easy way to make money. NBA does it, and of course, soccer does it all the time for jersey sponsorships and just to make more money. So definitely a cool little thing for Illinois, and I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see more partnerships like this, especially for stadium rights. I know State Farm Center has been around for a while, but there's still some stadiums that don't have naming rights. Just with NIL and having to pay players, you're going to need more money. So we're going to see more and more of these sponsorship things, I would imagine.
I looked at it obviously when it came out yesterday, but the more I look at it now, there definitely could be worse partners. I have nothing against Busey. I'm just literally thinking like their colors are navy, especially on the white jersey. It kind of just blends. Like it stands out, yes, but I mean, it really just blends. Like, and the font's not too different. So I like Wisconsin's and Culver's. That does not really go well.
Yeah, you're gonna
That
see some interesting ones for sure. Similar to like different type of jerseys that people. Yeah, I mean, Culver's is just so Wisconsin, so
Yeah, it is.
I like it, but yeah, definitely is standing out on that red jersey.
See, if they had like Chick-fil-A or something, you would probably barely even notice it. But the
Yeah,
fact that it's
Culver's is
Culver's.
probably happy about that. It's very noticeable.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm sure I could see like University of Georgia or something getting Culver's in a few years. And what stood out to you from media days? So we got Hauser, quarterback Caden Hauser, Matthew Bailey, and Juice Clark, along with Brett Bielema, of course, and then Josh Whitman was there. But from what you saw, what stood out to you about media days today?
Yeah, no surprise that Hauser's the starting QB for Illinois. Of course, that's what everyone expected, and hoping for a good year from him. Obviously, replacing a great quarterback like Luke Altmaier is going to be a challenge, but he had a good season at ECU, so hopefully he'll continue that on. And I did like Bielema's comments about the SEC. He does not hold back when tweeting at people and coming at people. So it's kind of like he's one of us. He really resonates with fans and people like that. Especially recently, people have been hating on the SEC if you're a member of the Big Ten or the Big 12, etc. So I really like that one.
Yeah, that definitely stood out, and I partially think that Bielema knows exactly what he's doing and knows that it's probably going to get some attention, which good for him. I think it's I kinda like I can see why outside fan bases might be frustrated, like, "Oh, who's this guy?" Like, talking like he's Kurt Signetti or something like that, um, because that's something Kurt Signetti could say and totally back it up, but, it's still cool to think Illinois' football coach at Big Ten Media Days said something and it blew up. Like, I feel like if Lovey would have said something or, Cubit or any of those guys, nobody would have taken it seriously or people would have been like, "Oh, Illinois football." It it just sounds bad, but if I hate to say it, but let's say like in Northwestern basketball, if Chris Collins said something at basketball Big Ten Media Days, I don't know if it would blow up. Maybe so. Like I think around the Midwest, we know a lot about Chris Collins, but um Bielema has just developed that sort of reputation to say kind of whatever he wants. And I think he definitely knew what he was doing. And I mean, stats back it up recently. We might be a little biased, but
Yeah, he's beaten SEC teams. I think the SEC hate has just gone to a new level recently, especially with their bowl performances and just their college football playoff performances. And now that the Big Ten has won 3 straight years in a row, I think Big Ten fans are really just coming together to hate on the SEC. So nothing against Coach B. I think another coach could have said this too, in the Big Ten. Just Big Ten fans would have ran with it and loved it. Just because the SEC hate is in right now, especially on X. I know in basketball they had the best conference 2 years ago. I think a lot of people can agree on that. But last year they kind of took a step back, and the Final Four was Illinois, UConn, Arizona, and Michigan. No SEC schools after they had two in the year before. So it's kind of just easy to hate on the SEC right now. They think they're really really good, and they haven't won a college football playoff in a while. So hopefully the Big Ten continues that streak, and one day Illinois can do that. But yeah, I really like those comments. I think Coach B is just hilarious. He tweets all the time. He's very active on social media. I think that's a good person to have leading the program.
yeah, and from interviews and things I've heard of Coach Bielema, it sounds like this is kind of speculation, but sort of inferring from interviews I've heard of him. It sounds like a lot of times he says things that a lot of the coaches agree with, or they might have like a Big Ten coaches group chat, but he's the guy that's sort of gonna go out and say it. And I just love that he's just a football guy. And I never feel like not that this has had to become a Brett Bielema love session, but I love that I never feel like he's selling me something like you feel like with coaches a lot of times. I feel like he truly believes, the Big Ten is a superior conference. I've been a part of both conferences. I've been in the Big Ten for a long time. I believe in Illinois. I believe what we're doing. And like when he talks about NIL and stuff like that and how we need to level the playing field, like that's just a fact that anybody with common sense would agree with. But Bielema is one that steps up and says it. And another thing, I think Bielema said this or pointed this out that back-to-back seasons selling out season tickets for football this year, which was just announced by Illinois football. Crazy to think that home Illinois football games are a hot commodity.
Yeah, and especially when I was in school, I hate to admit it, we would go to maybe one game a year. I had a couple buddies from that I grew up with that played on the team that I wanted to go see here and there. But a lot of people that I was in school with, you'd go to one or two games a year, call it a day. And I think post grad, a lot of people my age are trying to go to as many games as possible now. I'm a season ticket holder for football now too, Section 122. Just got my tickets today. Had them last year too, and just being in Chicago, it's hard to go to, a lot of games just in general. But when I was in school, I definitely never thought I'd have football season tickets. And I think a lot of people can say the same.
Yeah, I think the last 8 or 9 years, my family's had tickets in the Horseshoe. I think 113. I just always know where the seats are. I honestly don't even really look at the section a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see with the big new scoreboard how that sounds and what the chaos is like.
Hot take. It's starting to look a little too big. I don't know if I like it. I got to see it in person, but it's just from pictures from the distance. It's almost looking a little too big, but a lot of people will see on September 3rd.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I feel like the width and height, if we're going to get into architecture of stadiums,
We're
the width,
architecture experts today.
yeah, the width and height of the horseshoe felt like that big screen felt like the right size. I know it kind of felt outdated or seemed outdated with like whether that was the speakers or the lights or whatever, but it didn't feel like, oh, this is too small for the horseshoe.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be interesting to see how this looks and feels without any other renovation. Now, say they made the stadium bigger and this was gonna they were gonna move things around, or this was gonna somehow be above the student section. I don't know, but it is interesting with the current layout that you're just like, oh, we're gonna just make the screen 100 times bigger or something like that.
Yeah, interesting way to use your money too. We're talking about sponsorship.
Yeah.
NIL is interesting, but if you got it, someone wants to donate money to do that, sure, why not? It'll enhance the experience. I don't think they'll ever make the stadium bigger, but that allows Illinois to sell out. It allows them to sell, $100 season tickets in the horseshoe. It allows students to pack the stadium in the student section, and I think those are all good things for an Illinois program. Sometimes these programs get a little bit too big of stadiums. It doesn't look good. A lot of these programs are getting smaller stadiums in basketball, at least. Like Baylor has like a 12,000 now. They want to get smaller stadiums, so they sell that thing out, and it's a really good environment.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it, and I'm sure they did some research or something, and we're like, hey, this is gonna pay off in the long run, or maybe it's just we're the generation of iPad kids and the generation of screens, so we're like moths attracted to a light. So the next generation that's going to be buying season tickets are going to be attracted to that screen or something like that. But real quick, before we move on to some more talking points, we're proud. Well, actually, first, I got this shirt from Breaking Tea. Pretty cool T-shirt. Nice. They sponsored the Champagne Room and March Madness, because you can never have too much March Madness Illinois merch. We're also proud to partner with State Farm agent Brian Hansen, dedicated Illini fan. Just as we work to bring you coverage of Illinois athletics, Brian brings that same energy and commitment to serving his clients. If you're looking for a local professional who cares about the community and the orange and blue, most importantly, visit brianismyguy.com today and see why so many Illini fans trust Brian Hansen and his team for their home, auto, business, and life insurance needs. Again, brianismyguy.com. Super easy URL to remember. And also Chiefs Naturals. This segment is also brought to you by Chiefs Naturals. The brand's namesake dog, Chief, was proudly named after the Illinois mascot, and to keep him fueled, his owners created Chiefs Naturals, premium all-natural dog treats with zero mystery ingredients. They are officially launching this September. Head over to chiefsnaturals.com to join the VIP list. You'll get exclusive email updates so you don't miss the drop. chiefsnaturals.com. Cool. Got the partners messaging down. So now Illinois Mizzou football. I know normally, Robby, you cover, or you look into the basketball scheduling, basketball side of things, but it sounds like the Illinois Mizzou football game location is still up in the air.
Yeah, I'm a scheduling nerd. If you haven't noticed, if you're familiar with the Champagne Room, you see my tracker, and I'm tweeting all about it. I did tweet this morning that I want someone to ask Whitman. I didn't say someone ask him, but I tweeted like I really need to know when this Missouri game is. Me and my wife, she's from Southern Illinois. We go to every bragging rights game. We got a lot of friends in St. Louis, and I'm kind of hoping this game is in St. Louis, a nice little football bragging rights. Kind of making a football tradition as well after a few years, and I think a lot of people can stay the same, but we're still waiting on that location and just the date of the game too in 2027, which is pretty normal in basketball, but in football they usually let you know non-conference games like 7 years in advance. So I've been patiently waiting for this. Someone did ask Whitman from Illini guys. I think his name was Matthew. I just followed him on X. So doing some good work at media day, but Whitman said not yet. He doesn't know the location yet. I think there's a couple options we can kind of talk through, or what you think, Isaac. But I think St. Louis is probably a pretty good option in the Dome where the Rams used to play.
Yeah, can't wait for this game. That would be electric if it's like somewhere, like in the Rams' old stadium, so it can kind of be a bragging rights-esque game. And I vaguely remember Illinois and Mizzou playing in football when I was a kid, so I really want this rivalry to come back because I would love to have, like, I doubt it would get to this level, but like an Iowa State type rivalry where it's a non-conference game, but it's a huge game at the beginning of the season. And I
Yep.
know with the playoff and everything, you have less incentive to play a game like that, but just for the bordering states, we need some more rivalry. Like Indiana, unfortunately, went from being terrible to the best, one of the best college football teams of my lifetime, and Northwestern, who knows if they even care about football. So
Yeah.
yes, we have Iowa, but Iowa's Iowa. It's just not the same. Like if you get that St. Louis, you share, sort of that area, and you already have the bragging rights basketball game. So that would be electric. But yeah, I think I like a neutral site, but if you could do a home and home, I think that'd be fun too. Like getting Mizzou to Champaign in September would probably be electric.
Yeah, well, in 2028, Mizzou will come to Champaign. 2029, we'll go to Columbia.
Oh, that's right. That's already established. Yep.
But since they're taking a little break, since I think they shortened it because Illinois was playing Duke, Missouri was playing Kansas, so it's just 3 years, and they take a break. Another 3 years, it's kind of like, what do we do with that first game? Because in 2028, they're coming to Champaign. 2029, they're coming to Missouri, or we're going to Missouri. So it's kind of like, what do we do for this game? It says neutral site on the Illinois website. So you got to think it's either Chicago, Kansas City, St. Louis, someone throughout Nashville, maybe, that's about 350 miles from Champaign, maybe 400 something from Columbia. So, I mean, that's an option too in the Titan Stadium. But yeah, I mean, I think if they do expand the tournament to 24, especially, I think there's more incentives to play that game. I think, you take a loss to Missouri, you can still have 3 losses and make the playoff. I think that's totally fine. And it's a team that Illinois should be playing every year, I think, in both sports. We've been playing them in basketball since the 1970s, every single year in St. Louis. Football's a little bit different. They've dominated us, so maybe some less incentive for us. But unless if Missouri's playing Kansas, I just don't think non-conference who else they would want to play every single year. Maybe Kansas is their best or their biggest rival, non-conference, and biggest rival in general. I get if they want to play Kansas over us, but if they're not playing Kansas, then I think they should be playing us. And we don't play Iowa every year anymore. We get to play Purdue and Northwestern, but we can't control that Big Ten scheduling. We can control the non-conference scheduling, and I think Missouri fits the bill for us. And of course, we'll get them on campus here in 2028, which will be nice.
Yeah, those tailgates are going to be fun. It'd be fun to get to Columbia and go to that game at Mizzou as well. Any other Big Ten Media Day things that stood out to you? I think for me, I don't know why, I just kind of got vibes of Witherspoon from Juice Clark. I know that's like an insane bar to live up to, but I just kind of had a vision of, oh my gosh, like what if we have another lockdown corner like we did a few years ago? And when we have good DBs, it's been electric since Bielema's been here. Now, things could go not so great, and it could turn out to be like unfortunately Taz Nicholson situation, but I think it's more likely going to be a pretty strong season for Juice Clark. So yeah, and I kind of just forgot, like, oh shoot, I think we might have a really, really strong shutdown corner again. And I know Xavier might be playing safety or corner, or he's less of that like shutdown corner like Witherspoon was. But yeah, anything else stand out to you?
No, nothing really Illini related. I just think it's crazy they have like a 3-day thing now. There's way too many teams in the conference. But yeah, Media Day is cool. It's nice to hear from everyone. Nice to hear from Whitman, Bielema, and even the other coaches too. So season's right around the corner. Hopefully we'll we'll get some more football news coming up here in the next coming weeks and leading up to the season. But media day, like I said, is kind of the start of the football. Football's kind of in the air here in Chicago. It kind of feels like fall today. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, beautiful day today, making up for a lot of that smoke and humidity. One Illinois football NFL note. So Gabe Akis signed with the Patriots finally, I believe on Sunday. And, most of these NFL Illini the last few years have really panned out. Like even like Chase Brown is now, the main back for the Bengals. He was a 5th-round pick. Quan Martin, granted 2nd-round pick, but ends up playing a lot for the Commanders. We know Witherspoon obviously popped off, but even some like Sidney Brown, right? Like a lot of those guys making plays, getting playing
Sidney Brown
time.
is really good, yeah.
Yeah, like outperforming their draft capital. Isaiah Williams, perfect example, didn't even get drafted and was making huge special teams plays. Now Gabe, it came out that apparently he had some sort of knee injury or something that the Patriots didn't know about. And from Patriots Twitter and Mike Vrabel's nonverbals, it seems like the Patriots are frustrated, not happy. Again, I think I'm going to have a Boston reporter on here in the next couple of weeks that'll know way more about the situation than me, but kind of weird vibes, especially again, because it seems like Illinois and Bielema has had such a good connection with the NFL. And a lot of these guys have really panned out and had smooth transitions. Just talking to Johnny last week, he said how smooth of a transition it was to the league because Bielema runs things like an NFL program, but just weird that it took so long for Gabe to get signed. And then now it seems like he's got a little bit of friction with the team.
Yeah, there's a little friction. I mean, he did sign the deal. That's all that matters, I think. And he can hopefully prove himself. It's not off to the greatest start, but just hopefully a minor setback for a major comeback for Gabe. I think he's a monster. And you honestly didn't see it that much at Illinois as last year. I feel like it wasn't as noticeable as maybe in the past just because our defense wasn't great. But so I think maybe that's why he went a little bit later in the draft. But I do think he has potential to be a good pro.
Yeah, and it does happen like more than you realize. I heard somebody, fantasy football guy, actually talking about the other day. Like, well, Mendoza, for instance, just signed the other day because there was some weird speculation with his contract. And then last year, Travion Henderson, the Ohio State running back, he didn't sign until like late July and had like maybe some injury issues. So like it does happen, but it is odd. And again, if he gets like 7 or 8 sacks and plays great this year, nobody's going to care. But it is just odd. So you dove into the realm of football and broke down Illinois' schedule. Again, we're about 4 weeks or 5 weeks from Illinois' first game. So kind of what went into breaking this down and what stood out to you when you were writing this article?
Yeah, I wanted to dabble into a little bit of football. I'm not as knowledgeable as you on the football side of things, more of a basketball guy here, but got the schedule obviously set and coming up here. Just wanted to give kind of way too early game by game predictions and kind of just went briefly through some games. Didn't really give a ton of insight. Did for a couple teams like Oregon, Ohio State, etc. But kind of just went through Illinois' full schedule and made my predictions. If you read the article, it ends with Illinois going 8-4, starting off 3-0 on the season before losing to Iowa State, and actually starting off really, really well just with their favorable schedule. I do have Illinois dropping one at Maryland, dropping one to Ohio State, Oregon, and Iowa, but obviously Maryland's a toss-up game. I think we might even be favored in that game. I think you could say the same about UCLA. Michigan State, I think, will win, but could go either way. I think there's a lot of those games, so you can kind of mix match the fourth loss in that one, I think. But I do think, Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, I was pretty confident in those losses, even with Iowa at home. But yeah, to summarize, went through a little bit in the schedule, gave some fun facts, and kind of just had a little fun with making my predictions.
Yeah, we've got some fun. I'm excited. We have some fun games late in the season, like the Nebraska UCLA game. Iowa, like that could be a really fun stretch, or it could be really bad. But like I feel like recently the last few years we've kind of known our fate. Or even last year, it was like when you lost to Washington, you weren't making the playoffs. So it was good to rattle off a few at the end, but the Wisconsin loss was like frustrating, but it's like, okay, you're already out of the playoffs. So it's gonna be fun to have some of these big like Iowa at home late in the season is gonna be awesome. But which of these games did you have the most time like you were going back and forth with, like, is Illinois gonna win? Is Illinois gonna lose?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of them. I just think over the past couple of years, we've had a game, like you mentioned, Wisconsin, and every team has it too, unless if you're, Indiana or one of the best teams in the country, where you drop a game you probably shouldn't drop. So I was kind of thinking just between Michigan State, Maryland, UCLA, those type of games, which one I think maybe we could drop, just with Maryland being on the road, being after a big time home matchup. I just think it could be a letdown spot for Illinois, even if we lose to Oregon. And we've had success against Nebraska. Nebraska and UCLA will be Friday night games on primetime Fox. At UCLA is no cupcake either, traveling out west. I was at the Washington game last year, and that was a disappointing loss. And I know traveling out west isn't the easiest one, but those games were kind of the hardest. Just kind of pick which one I think we're going to lose. Hopefully we don't lose any of them, and hopefully we don't lose multiple of them. But I think, Maryland, Nebraska, pretty good back-to-back games. Thinking about sending that Nebraska game on a Friday night. I think that'll be a good one. Back on that 2024 game when we played at Nebraska on a Friday night, that was a really good one when we won in overtime. 31-24, I added that in the article too. But to answer your question, I think just Maryland, UCLA, Michigan State, just with Fitzgerald taking over there. I think just those middle of the pack Big Ten schools, you can really go either way. And I just kind of predicted we drop one of them that we shouldn't, and ended on 8-4. The over/under for Illinois is 7.5. So still got us hitting the over.
I think. Oh, sorry, I just lost you for a second. You said last I heard was you still got us hitting the over.
Yeah, over under 7.5 for Illinois. I got us at 8-4. Like I said, kind of just picked a game that I thought maybe we could drop that we shouldn't. And, at Northwestern isn't going to be an easy one either. I just think that's a must-win every year. But I was saying that 8-4 would be a success for me with everything we lost last season. I know we've won 9 games the past couple years, but just with everything we've lost and new quarterback and, losing Gabe and everything like that, I think 8-4 would be a success. Everything else is kind of gravy at that point. 8-4 will give you in a nice bowl game again.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy with 7-5 for sure. So 8-4, like, it does depend on how you lose, but 8-4 would be awesome. I mean, we've only had so many of those in Illinois football. Like, we can't forget how crazy 8-4 still is for Illinois football. And I think too, yeah, like just how you lose. So say we even lose 5 games, if they're close games, tough games, you lose Oregon, Ohio State, and then a couple on the road, like the Maryland, like the Michigan State. It's like, okay, but just don't get killed. Try not to have a Wisconsin type game like last year where you were just the better team, but Wisconsin just punked you. And I just want to see good, clean football, consistent, clean football. The more years we can stack up of Bielema football, winning games as underdogs, competing, covering, like just running the ball, and hopefully getting back to like a better defense. That would be super exciting. And I just realized I'm going to be I know you picked the Maryland game to be a loss. I'm going to be on a plane to my honeymoon. So if that is a loss, might be a good one for me personally, because I will at least be like on a plane going on vacation. But that would still be frustrating because like Maryland, I mean, Loxley's on the hot seat. I can't imagine they should be better than last year, but that's still a game I would hope that Bielema could pull off.
Yeah, should hopefully be favored, should hopefully win. Hopefully you're off to your honeymoon with a really good, 7 wins or 5 wins, whatever it is, or probably 5 wins already for Illinois. But yeah, if 7-5 is the floor for this team in a rebuilding year, I think everyone would be happy with that.
I wonder if I would probably be the only person in the Dominican Republic wearing a Luke Altmaier jersey if I had to guess. But okay, basketball stuff. So there's a little bit of news. It's pretty quiet. I think you mentioned before we jumped on that it's probably break time for Illinois basketball. So, real quick, any updates you got with Illinois basketball? I know they added Seattle. We'll touch on recruiting stuff, but they add a non-conference game, and so any other schedule updates or just things you've seen recently about Illinois basketball?
Yeah, Underwood said they're taking a little break. People, going home or just taking some time off. School probably starting here in the third week of August if the schedule remains the same as back in the day when I was in school. It's been a long time since then, but I assume they still start around then. So taking a couple weeks off. They had a few weeks of good practice with everyone, and he said Andrei Stojakovic is back healthy, which is great. And yeah, we're just waiting on one non-conference game. They mentioned it was supposed to be a marquee matchup, giving Illinois another really good opponent. They want to do Black Friday weekend, but we'll see if that happens. I think if they can't do Black Friday, I think December 12th, that Saturday is usually a big Saturday. And in college basketball, I think that could be an option. Florida released their schedule. They're not going to be on Illinois' schedule, unfortunately, which I was hoping for. I know Underwood's trying to get a home and home really, really badly, but teams don't want to come to Champaign, and I don't blame them. We'd probably beat them on our home floor, but we'll see what happens. It should be a marquee matchup against someone really, really good coming up here soon. We're seeing more and more non-conference schedules being released. And recruiting's in full swing. That's kind of been the thing post Summer League, Peach Jam at EYBL, and the Under Armour and all the shoe circuits took place in all the championships. So you see a lot more offers. You see a lot more visits happening here in the fall. Get them on campus for some tailgates, some good food, and hopefully some good weather in Champaign.
Yeah, I was listening to Eye on College Basketball. Matt Norlander had Tom Vernelli on. They were talking about Illinois, and they were kind of going through the schedule, and I forget. They were kind of talking about how this could be, an amazing team that still makes another Final Four and all that stuff, and they could still start 7-4, 8-3, and because you lose. Let's say you lose UConn, which knowing us, that could still happen. You lose at Duke. You hopefully can beat Missouri, but I mean, at Texas Tech could be a loss. There's 3 games you could lose pretty early in your schedule, and we still would be, we still could be feeling really high about this team. So, adding another one of those types of games would be really fun, but I think we've seen it pay off the last few years. So why not add more to the schedule?
Yeah, having a good non-conference is always great. I do a lot of bracketology. If it's all about wins, losses don't really matter. Of course, if you have, 15 losses like Auburn last year, then it matters. But teams, become 4 seeds with 10 losses. Alabama was a 11-loss 4 seed a couple years ago just because their schedule is amazing. The committee doesn't really look at losses. It just looks at wins. So the more opportunities you have at Quad 1 wins, Quad 1A wins is better for the program and better for the team. I'm a big Eye on College Basketball fan myself, so I did listen to that too. Norlander predicted. I just actually had an article before we got on here on Roundtable, kind of talking about how he was praising Tyler Underwood, and he has Illinois finishing 26-6, and Vernelli said 24-8. I think I'm hoping for a little bit better than 24-8. I think 26-6 can get us in that 1 seed territory. And yeah, the schedule's crazy already. I think adding another one is helpful for this team. If you have a good team, no reason not to schedule well. I think you start seeing these coaches not schedule well when they don't think they have a good team. So worst case, we have a couple losses in non-conference, you get to the league play, and hopefully, have 4 or 5 losses in Big Ten play and can win the regular season.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of time to break down the schedule once it finally comes out, but it's hard to believe that it's getting closer. It's been, the Final Four was a while ago, it feels like. So
yeah, that's a good point.
And another thing last thing I'll say about this, another thing they were talking about, which is kind of still crazy to think, is imagine if 8 or 9 months from now were Lincoln Williams or Xavier Zenz or something was a top 10 NBA draft pick, and that's literally what we just had with Keaton. Keaton was maybe gonna be the 9th or 10th guy. Like that's what we thought. There was a lot of buzz around him, and it's like, oh, he actually might start. Like, and then but it like kept building from Brad's comments last summer, and then even then it was like, oh, at the beginning of the season he wasn't really doing like that much. So it's just crazy to think about that freshman right now. That's like the second or third most impactful freshman, and that's where Keaton Wagler was at this time last year. It's just crazy to think.
Yeah, I mean, he shocked the world, shocked college basketball world. You can't expect that every single year, but I do think Quentin Coleman will be amazing, and they're saying Lincoln Williams is good too. So there's a lot of options as freshmen on this team. Honestly, hopefully we don't have to have them that good. I think it was good and bad. We were struggling a little bit in the beginning of the season where Keaton had to take over. Hopefully we're kind of a little bit better in the beginning of the season where the freshmen don't have to have such a big load on them until later in the season. But yeah, either way, I think Quentin will be amazing. I think Lincoln Williams provides athleticism that this team needs, and Lucas Murillo had a back injury, so he's still kind of coming into his own, but he could be a good player for Illinois as well.
I think last thing, Illinois had a couple 5-stars, or have a couple 5-stars, I think, scheduled to visit, and there's been some other recruiting news, but I remember Navarro Bowman playing for the 49ers. He was a stud linebacker. Him and Patrick Willis, I believe, played linebacker for the 49ers together, but his son is taking a different route and plays basketball. So give us the updates about the couple of 5-stars that are visiting and any other Illinois recruiting news.
Yeah, a lot of these old football players, I feel like, are getting their sons in basketball. They might have too many head injuries. They don't want their son getting into football. But yeah, Navarro Bowman Jr., class of 2027 from California, is a 5-star, #1 player in California. He's coming in the fall. More of a combo guard, but 6'3" point guard. He does have offers from Arizona, UConn, Alabama. Definitely don't want to undersell Illinois, but if I'm a guard and Alabama's on the table, it's hard to pass up on that just with their style of play. But yeah, he'll come on campus. And then Dylan Betts too. He goes to IMG Academy, 7'3". So we have a lot of front court pieces that we're going to need to replace with the Avicic brothers, probably Murkovich. But Betts is in the 2028 class. So not sure if he can reclass, but he is 7'3", 230, massive human being. Number 11th player, and according to 247 in the class of 2028. I think he'd be a great option for Illinois. He has some big-time offers too, not as big as Bowman at this time, but he's still early on in his process, being a 2028. So those are kind of some of the players, that the 5-stars that they got, as well as Brady Pettigrew. We mentioned him probably before, but Illinois is heavily in on him. Kid from Illinois, in-state guy. He's been balling in the EYBL 16U. He can actually reclass to 2027. So if you're looking at replacing, some of our guards, I think Pettigrew is one of the best, and he's an in-state guy. We've been recruiting some in-state guys as of late. I think he's the top, if not one of the top priorities for Brad Underwood in Illinois, kind of, replacing the guard play that might be needed too as well.
Yeah, it's that time of year with all those tournaments and everything going on. And side note, I know football's not as much your thing, but man, that Navarro Bowman 49ers team was crazy. Anquan Bolden, Navarro Bowman, Michael Crabtree, Vernon Davis,
got
Frank Gore.
Skill players like crazy. That's fantasy. Everyone on your fantasy team, you'll be good.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. Anything? I mean, it's July. Big Ten Media Days gave us some to talk about. Busey gave us some stuff to talk about. But is there anything coming up you're like, oh, looking forward to? Like that's a date, or is it just on to football season, and then whenever basketball practice starts, we'll get some more news, hopefully.
Yeah, not really. Enjoy your summer. Hopefully the staff is taking some time off and getting vacation. I don't think they get to do that much anymore with recruiting and NIL and kind of year-round type basketball and football. So hopefully the basketball staff can take some time off after being on the recruiting trail, and we'll get to it in August. And basketball practice will start in September. And, of course, football starting up here on the 3rd. So enjoy the last few weeks of the last month of summer before the sports starts, and the TV takes up most of our time.
Yeah, what do you got working on? I know again you're doing so much writing and covering Illinois and other things. So plug your stuff. What do you got coming up?
Yeah, doing full-time writing for Illinois Roundtable, new site, like I mentioned before. Just actually did a piece before we got on about the CBS Ion College basketball. Norlander was praising Tyler Underwood. So take a look at that. Still doing stuff with the Champagne Room, of course, and doing the Armchair Illini newsletter. Subscribe to that. We've been getting a lot more views as of late. So hopefully it starts taking off a little bit more. Maybe people are just liking the recruiting stuff in the off season. People seem to enjoy those that newsletter when the recruiting stuff is on there. So, yeah, pretty much those three outlets. Obviously, doing this pod with you as well. So be sure to follow Isaac on Twitter and follow me at Robby Nardini on X as well.
Yes, definitely give Robby a follow, and Armchair Roundtable, all the fun things that Robby's doing. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been the Champagne Room Live. We'll have a lot more content coming in the next few weeks, and then, like I said, football's about 5 weeks away, so we're counting down the days. But as always, ILL.
I.